Hello, hello from the void.
Hello.
This is Mikael Gunter, a friend that I
G'day,
met.
g'day.
I met him on the road years ago. I think we met in Albania.
Yeah, that was Albania that we met. That was a very interesting time when we met. It was
Yeah.
during the pandemic
Oh
when we were
yeah.
traveling.
Yeah, and a lot of people were on the road during the pandemic and wanted to hunker down with a small group of folks to weather that sociological
Yeah,
shitstorm.
yeah, wild camping on the beach with a whole bunch of people, and that was an amazing time. Like, well, the whole world was going crazy, and just like being in nature, being with community. That was such an amazing time when we met.
Yeah, that I'm trying to remember. That was okay because I've been to Albania a few times to that area where we were camping, and I think that was the second time. So was that in 2020?
No, no, no. So that one was 2020.
Yeah.
I think we got there September,
Mm-hmm.
and then we were staying on the beach in the south of Albania.
Yeah.
Um, on that wild beach, it was like about 40 minute walk from the nearest village in
Yeah.
the some olive plantation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. Camping. I mean, all olive trees, the way that they're cultivated, they're just so great for climbing, except for when they're slippery, right? But
Yeah,
they're great. They're designed to be climbed because that's how they're, so you can get up in there, right? So they're so great for climbing to put ropes and things when you want to hang a
yeah,
tarp or just sit in there. Yeah, I mean, that was
yeah.
amazing.
Some of those trees there where we were, like there was the old man there that I was ended up helping him. Like he
Yeah.
would come down. We were basically squatting his olive trees, and then he came down one day, and then it's just like, oh, I'll give you a hand, and then yeah, I would help him a few hours every day, and then he would bring me olive oil and cheese and things like that, and he showed me some of the trees on that hillside were like 400 years old, planted by the Ottomans way back when, and some amazingly old trees there. It's pretty cool.
It's true. I also helped a little bit, but you were kind of insane about it. You were like climbing in the tree and shaking it like you're
Yeah,
like
well, that old man,
he wanted to adopt you.
Sokol was his name. Yeah, yeah, and he was, I think, 65, and he was climbing up there, 65-year-old man with an axe, hacking down at the tree, and then like shaking off all the olives, and then his wife would come on a donkey, and then would load up two sacks of olives every day, and then walk back to town. And I was just kind of like keep myself occupied because just like wild camping sitting, you got to keep yourself occupied, and yeah, kind of exchange back to the guy whose land we were squatting or whatever. It
I feel like
just
didn't
seemed logical to me.
did you stay at his house after we left the camping finally?
Yeah, so basically, like most people like stayed for like 2 months, and then as it started to get colder and more brutal, then people were trickling away. And I wanted to stay there for the solstice, I remember.
Yeah,
Um,
you wanted to do a silent dark meditation retreat for the
yeah, 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 yeah.
solstice.
So I remember that time it was like this Saturn Jupiter conjunction. So I was watching, like sitting out there watching the stars every day, 4 months sitting outside by the fire, and then watching the stars, the planets moving, and seeing this thing in the sky, and knowing that this conjunction was happening on the solstice, and the solstice, this whole like 3 days in a cave tradition, that become the Easter story. That's to do with the sun going down beneath the horizon for 3 days in the solstice, and then after 3 days it comes out of his cave and it starts rising again. And I remember watching the sun setting every day out on the islands. So my intent was to do this 3 days of dark meditation on the solstice while this conjunction was happening. Do combine it with a vipassana, so 10 days in silence. Um, and then I built this little cabin from the sticks from the olive trees that we were making. I made this little cabin and made it like with the mattresses and tarps and all the stuff that people left over that we'd kind of like salvaged from the dumpsters. So I made this little dark cabin and spent 3 days in fasting and meditating in the wilderness in Albania. It was quite an amazing experience. Yeah, because during that time I was doing Wim Hof. I was swimming in the sea every day up until like it was winter over there, Northern Hemisphere, and I would swim in the sea every day. And yeah, eventually I stayed there till Christmas, and then on Christmas Day, they invited me to for Christmas dinner. So I've been like eating vegan food and just being outside in nature, and then suddenly in this Albanian family Christmas dinner, roast turkey, or I can't remember what it was, but just like the the proper tradition. That was quite a contrast.
Yeah, right. And it
Yeah,
was really only a short distance
drop the phone.
away. You're camping for months, not so far away from people, about a 40-minute walk, like you said. But there's comforts of civilization. But here we were camping out in the middle of nature instead. But the weather was so nice until the storms come. Anyway, the storms are pretty intense in the winter time on the coast.
Yeah, because you stayed there because I remember I was there was like all those abandoned bunkers on the line, and I
Hmm.
cleared one out thinking I would stay in it, and then I thought, nah, this is crazy. It's like too claustrophobic. I'd rather build
Hmm.
a cabin. But didn't you stay in that bunker?
I did. I stayed in
You
that
you,
exact
you
one,
did
I
the
think.
crazy experience.
Yeah, because the second time I went to that beach, uh, I took over that bunker and then I just made a bunch of tarps around it. So the bunker was basically my bedroom, and then I had like
Yeah,
a kitchen with a fire, and I made a couch. I dug out a couch and had cushions, and I had
yeah,
one tarp, and then I put out wings because the rains would just come in the side, so I just kept on spreading out wings so that the
yeah,
rains
yeah,
and the winds wouldn't come in because the
yeah.
wind, the seaside has so much wind. The wind is so strong and it just can come out of nowhere. These microbursts just bam. And I mean the tarps would just wobble and shake.
Did, did you have any like times when they collapsed and you had to like, ah, fuck, and fix it?
There's a few times when I was there where I was hanging on and I had to fix things. And then ultimately I went away and I went to that restaurant. I don't know if if you ever stopped by there was a restaurant
The
that was
abandoned
kind of.
one with the
Yeah, and which I guess it wasn't abandoned, it was just closed. So that
Yeah, yeah,
there
because I remember that there was a keg there, and it was like it was just the foam, and I was just like, oh, it was like full there, and you get like
condense it.
2 centimeters, like an inch of bloody beer, but it was like
Yeah.
free.
Yeah, because I think that so the second time when I went, you weren't there, but there were some people who were staying at that restaurant. There was a kind of hut that was attached to the restaurant next to it, and the owner
Yeah.
let some of those people stay there. They met him, and he
Oh,
was cool. So I knew about that. So then, when the rains and cold was just the wind and the rain was getting so bad, I went moved to the hut, and then I met the owner, and he was cool. He
yeah,
liked having someone staying there because he had a lot of nice equipment. He didn't want anyone to come in and steal it. And
yeah,
there were some goats that would come every once in a while too, so he liked to have someone there to protect the flowers from the goats because he had like some pretty nice
yeah,
flowers there. So that's kind of what my
yeah.
job was, is to kind of watch the
The
restaurant
flower
for a few
security
months.
guard.
Yeah, it was great because then there was Wi-Fi, so I was able to use my laptop. I had electricity and Wi-Fi, and that was a period when I was alone. I mean, I didn't want to speak to anyone for like months. I just would go to the town every week and a half to buy something and then come back, and I was making videos. Like I was doing video blogs and I was doing
Yeah.
music videos. I was really intense. It was
I
just
think I
like
remember watching
relentless.
some of those and just like thinking like I almost went through that same experience, and I just like the same reasoning why I said like, nah, I'll go another option, like with the wind and everything, like
Yeah.
you went through. Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah.
stayed there one night, and I'm like, nah, this is gonna be brutal.
Yeah, it was just way too windy. And then when I stayed at the restaurant for a while, I did return to the camp some weeks later, and yeah, the tarp had just collapsed, you
Yeah,
know, from neglect. I wasn't there, but it was fine. It was
yeah,
the end of that story. I packed up everything
yeah,
into the bunker and left it there for anyone else to use. And apparently some people did go and use some of those things, so I'm glad that it kind of remained as a it's remained as a kind of hermitage of sorts.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The
that
hippie traveler bunker.
yeah, I mean that place just keeps on attracting people. It's so interesting. There's going to be another gathering in Albania happening around now, and I'll bet you they're doing it there. I'll bet you there's just
I
it's
was
like the
I was
grace.
scouting, and I was like, yeah, I was scouting up in some dam
Yeah.
somewhere. Like Albania is a pretty cool place for like, especially when you get off like the main path. You
Hmm.
like, I found some village where they were speaking Turkish, and they were like a layover from the Ottoman time, and they were all
Mm.
making their own villages, their own food and things like that. It's a pretty amazing country, like in terms of like undiscovered tourism, because compared to the rest of Europe, it like Albania really doesn't feel like Europe.
Mm-mm.
They were hardcore isolationist communism for like 30
Yeah.
years. So it really has a different feel
Yeah.
to it.
Socially, I feel Albania is a lot in like the 1950s or something like that because it's quite conservative. So I mean, they accepted us, but I also did feel a bit of separation from Albanian folks, like being there as an alien. They were kind people, and the village people were kind, but you also kind of felt that there was this distance and that people didn't offer up too much of themselves. They weren't as warm as other places I've been to, and I think a
Yeah,
lot of
well,
that's just they're so conservative.
and I think 30 years of hardcore communism
Yeah.
changes you.
Oh yeah, and there was that time when basically everyone was spying on each other, and there was like people killing each other because of these feuds, and spying on each other, and there's a lot to unpack. Albanian culture has experienced quite a bit of trauma. I mean, that's why they even had. I think they had like almost a million or so. I don't know the number, but hundreds of thousands of bunkers along the sea because the dictator during the communist time he was so paranoid that they were going to get invaded.
Yeah, yeah, because they're so different culturally, ethnically from everyone around, so they were kind of afraid. They didn't have
Yeah.
any friends in the area, so they just were like super paranoid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
wasn't
a
legal.
I mean the Balkans is so full of these stories of being invaded and invading and of course the Ottoman Empire going out and taking over places and there's a lot of trauma there from people who got who were occupied by the Ottomans, also the Byzantines. I mean, apparently from one story I heard, the reason the Ottomans even took over so much was that the Byzantines were charging more taxes, and so when the Ottomans came the taxes were less, so the people kind of just let them do it because that was
Oh,
one
yeah,
story. But the Ottomans also had some brutal things like stealing the firstborn son to become a soldier, and so the first son of every family would be taken to the military academy and trained to be a janissary, which
yeah, indoctrinated into the
yeah,
state legion.
yeah, it was called the blood tax.
Yeah,
And then Albania, of course,
yeah,
has
we
its
live in
own
we
codes.
live in a different time now. It's like, despite all of the chaos and shit in the world, like we have like kind of we don't have the risk of being drafted at the drop of a hat. Like, I mean, who knows where it's going, especially in your country right now. It's going a bit
Mm,
crazy over there from the external
yeah.
view.
Right. I mean, it does look crazy. I mean, inside it doesn't, I mean, when you're just walking around and existing as a person in a society, it seems pretty okay. But when you look at the news of things, it's like, what is all of this going on? Yeah, you're right. I mean, I feel really lucky that I've never had to deal with being drafted because I've got friends in all kinds of countries, Turkish friends who would be forced to serve in the military, Swiss friends who would be forced to serve in the military, or Israeli friends who would be forced to serve in the military who didn't
Yeah,
want to do it.
I have Thai friends. You have to go into the military or not. If you pick a red ping pong ball, you're in the military. If you pick a white one, so then you have to go back and you spend 3 years. And he went back so he would bribe $10,000 basically. So
Wow.
then he automatically gets a white one. So basically, if you have money, you can kind of avoid it
Yeah.
by corruption. But yeah, like he came to Australia, get a better life, and then he just work, so he could pay this corruption fee, so he could not go in the army. It was crazy.
Wow. You say he was from Thailand?
Thailand, yeah,
Ah, interesting. Yeah, Thailand, I mean, they have a one of those people who call themselves a king. Whoa,
yes,
it's like,
yeah.
and you can't even speak anything badly about such a person. It's extremely illegal. So everyone's
Well, you're starting to have
careful.
that same problem over there
Yeah.
by the looks of it, with your
Yeah.
own king.
Yeah, it's incredible. Now, they've defined the organization Antifa, which is not an organization at all. They've defined people who consider themselves to be anti-fascist to be some sort of terrorist group, but and that does not have any organization. It's just like a
Yeah,
label that people can call themselves. There's no Antifa chair
yeah,
of executive committee. There's no council of Antifa. There's nothing. It's just a label for people who don't like fascism. Although
yeah,
sometimes they act pretty fascistic themselves
yeah.
in certain
I was gonna
moments.
say some of
Like,
the tactics can be a bit too far on the other side that they
yeah,
become the same thing.
yeah,
But yeah, as with any organization, well, it's not an organization. Any
yeah,
anarchist, there's many people inside of it, and there's many different players, and
yeah,
some can be dickheads, just like in the government.
yeah, exactly.
You don't know what it's up to the individuals inside of thing, but as
Yeah.
an organization, it's not an organization.
But that's what's scary though, is to call such a thing a group of a terrorist group. Like
Well, it's
it's just not. It's not an organization in any sense. It's a disorganization, if anything.
you label it as a terrorist, and you're allowed to do actions against domestic citizens, basically.
Yeah.
Try and change the wording so that you can take out those who are against you.
Yeah, enemy
It's part of the playbook.
combatants and such. Yeah, it's quite disturbing. Um, so yeah, we met in Albania. And we had a really wonderful time that first. I remember, I mean, I had some fond memories of especially the main gathering all left, and then we kind of stayed at that secondary camp. And I remember like you were working on some runes at the time, and
Yeah, I still have them over there.
yeah. Yeah, I've got some runes too that I had already made, but I remember I we were bonding over the runes. And what else? Oh yeah, I mean I remember even Sokol would give us these bottles of Rocky sometimes. We
Yeah.
got pretty drunk.
Oh,
Had
that
some
was
heart to
amazing. Yeah,
hearts.
because we were all sober, and then got this rakia that he aged them in oak barrels. Like I've never
Yeah.
seen like barrel aged rakia. They
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
in the Balkans you get it in like a plastic bottle, like a
Like a
Pepsi bottle or
Pepsi
something.
bottle.
You
Yeah.
get it from the market for like a couple of euro, and you get like half a liter of this super strong, amazing alcohol. Yeah, and he would come with this oak, the best quality rakia I've ever had. And we would get shit faced
Oh my
just because we're
God.
not used to it.
Yeah,
Being
we
sober, and then you have this like, woo,
yeah, I
oh, the
I don't
Balkans,
drink
man.
anything now. I think I haven't had a drop of alcohol for like almost 2 years now, and I feel pretty good
Oh
about it.
yeah,
I in Albania, in the Balkans, the cheap homemade alcohol, I was a big fan. I was a big fan.
yeah.
And my
So crazy in the Balkans. Like everyone drinks it, and I've never seen this before. But I went to some party in Croatia, and there was a guy there, and he's like his job was to like welcome everybody to the party with a welcome shot. So everyone who had come, like he'd give him a shot, and then he'd do a shot with them. And so he was like drunkest I've
Oh,
ever seen an individual, and he did a shot, and he just went like a plank, and just went boom, smashed on the floor. He was out for like 20 seconds. He was like, "What?" He dusted himself off. He was like, "What?" Looked around, took another shot, and went into the party. Like fucking crazy.
yeah, there's some stamina there that people
Yeah,
develop,
yeah.
I'm sure. So where are you exactly now?
So I'm in because I ended up traveling for 10 years. Like I didn't return to Australia for a full decade. I've been back for like a year and a half now, and I've kind of been bouncing around trying to find a place. So at the moment I'm on my cousin's land. I'll just move the camera. So I've kind of staying in a similar like camp setup at the moment. So I've just got like a tarp, and I'm like building up a little camp. Um, I'll try to go slowly if it's a shit connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got just by the creek here. There's like a really beautiful spot for swimming, and yeah, because I on the way back to Australia, I'll try to set it back up on the tripod so it's not moving so much. Just 1 second. Sorry about that. Tripod fell apart. There was me.
Feel like I'm watching the Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, it is a bit like that. That's why I set up the tripod at the beginning so I wouldn't have to move it. Then I moved it and it fell apart because my tripod is just a pile of sticks, basically. Very low tech. Uh, Sorry about this. Oh, it's upside down. Oh, this is
There we
not
go.
very good viewer watching. Sorry about. How's that?
All right. There we go.
I'm kind of sitting on a bit of a hill, but yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, that
Can
works.
you see the background, or is it kind of whitewashed?
It's a bit whitewashed. I can see the tree that's right behind you, and I can see the some of the plants and stuff.
Okay, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. So you're near Brisbane?
Yeah, so
Brisbane?
I'm just north of Brisbane, town called Esk. It's kind of like yeah, about an hour north of Brisbane, out in the countryside. Yeah,
So Brisbane,
it's about
where is that in Australia? I should look.
it's on the east coast, about halfway up. It's the capital of Queensland, the state of Queensland. It's
Okay.
where I'm from originally, and this is yeah about an hour and a half drive from Brisbane. And yeah, it's my cousin's land, and um, yeah, I actually made a didgeridoo from a tree from around here. There's a lot of termites in the forest around here,
Mm.
so I made a didgeridoo from scratch. This one is one that I'm working on. Oh shit! Yeah, I fell over.
Glad you weren't in it.
Yeah, this didgeridoo was like naturally
Ah,
hollow,
nice.
so I've yeah just been working on this guy.
Wait, I can't hear you. You have to turn on live performance audio.
Oh
There's
well, fuck that.
no,
I
but
don't know
I
how
want
to do that.
yeah, yeah, wait, you can do it. You can do it. I want to hear it. Just you have to
How
just
do you
press a
turn on?
you have to press a button that says live performance audio because otherwise it
How do you do?
um on the phone, I'm not sure exactly, but on like is there like a
I've
there's
never
a
actually used Zoom before, so
yeah.
if I do this, I'm gonna have to move the phone, and it's all gonna
Okay,
wobble
wait.
around again, which might not be the best viewing experience.
I'll try to figure it out because I would really like to show you how to do that, but let's
All
see.
right.
How do I do that? I don't know. Wait. Turn on performance audio Zoom phone.
More audio settings. Original sound for musicians.
Yeah, original
How's
sound
that
for a
work now?
musician. Yeah. All right. So now you can give a demonstration for
All
for
right,
the
see if that
didgeridoo.
works. Yeah.
Is that another didgeridoo behind you too, or is that just a plank? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I did hear it. That's cool.
No, that's yeah, because I was traveling with a didgeridoo, and that's how I was supporting myself on my journey.
Is that
This
your?
was one of my. Whoa. See, I've set up the thing and such a. I got the phone so it's not moving, but now I'm sitting on the side of a hill. I keep falling over. Oh well.
That's good. Practical comedy is underrated.
Yeah, yeah, I did a bit of slapstick in the morning. Yeah. So we'll try that again. This was one of my travel didgeridoos.
I remember,
A
well,
bit,
that looks a
uh,
little different than I remember it. I think you added a joint to it.
well, actually, the one that I was traveling with, I think has a phone stand now. That's a solution that stopped me. So I was traveling with Dusty. So this was the one I traveled with.
Uh,
But now practical solution, a phone holder. So
I see.
piece not moving.
It's part of the tripod. Yeah,
Innovative solution.
that was definitely. I remember you were making you even made a didgeridoo out of the agave because they were growing
Yeah,
agave on one of those hillsides, and I remember someone said that the reason that hillside had agave was because it was by a submarine base, and the agave was there to prevent paratroopers from landing. And then
that's right.
you harvested a stem from that and were hollowing it out and making a
Yeah, the whole
didgeridoo.
hillside was full of agave to stop the parachute shooters coming in, and then yeah, hollowed that out painstakingly with a. It was
Like
a
a
piece
hot
like it was like
rod.
a tent pole, a
What's
metal
the
tent
tent pole?
pole that I'd rigged up so I could cut and open up all the fiber, and then I hollowed that thing out, and then I traveled with this hollow agave stalk on my back while I was hitchhiking around Europe for like 2 months before I found a place and settled down, and then I used some epoxy to like finish it off. But
Hmm.
like for two months, I just carried down this like potential didgeridoo. I think I
Yeah.
made 11 total when I was traveling through Europe in 10 years from
You
plastic
Oh yeah.
and from some. I made a couple of split didgeridoos like with a big bandsaw and chopping it in
Hmm.
half and doing it with a chisel. Now the termites do it. It's much easier.
That's the original style.
Yeah, like this one is also. I also made this one. This one's got a
That's pretty.
nice wood. So I've been working on that one. It's kind of split open a bit, so I've just kind of taped it up before I seal it again because it's still work in progress. Like while I'm here, I'm kind of using because I've on the way back to Australia, I got this herniated disc in Nepal,
Oh,
being on the bus. So then I had this sciatic nerve pain. I had to
dang.
travel like with this really bad sciatic nerve, and since I've been back in Australia, it's just been kind of like keep on flaring up again.
Oh.
So I'm using this time to just kind of like recover a bit
Are,
because
are
I've
you
been
do
moving around
you
and I need to settle down for. I can't stop moving with
I
this
know.
back pain. Shit,
Yeah.
it's impossible.
You ever use an inversion table or anything like that? Does that help give relief?
So the thing that's been helping me the most is like the gym ball and then doing exercises with that, like kind of like the inversion table,
Okay, so like leaning back on the ball.
leaning back and then doing lots of core strength exercises, like doing the gym ball, kind of like doing a plank and walking forward and backwards
Uh-huh.
to kind of build up the core, and that just makes it so it's like it's not as easy to pull it again, because on some days it's fine, and other days I just twitch the wrong way and then I'm out of action for 2 or 3 days. Just I
Even
can't
just
walk.
from a small thing.
Yeah, yeah. And I got
Mm.
the CT scan, and like when I had a, what do you call it, epidural injection into my
Yeah.
spine,
Well,
because it got so bad, like I couldn't walk. And when the surgeon was doing that um, CT guided injection or whatever, and he goes, "Whoa, that's the biggest one I've ever seen."
jeez.
And he was talking about the bulge, not in the front and the back. And yeah, that's I've been dealing with that. It's been quite debilitating. Like
Mm.
traveling for 10 years, being so
Yeah.
free, and then coming back and trying to navigate the system to try and get back into the employment, and then having this injury. It's been quite a difficult homecoming.
How's the healthcare
Um,
system in Australia?
well, it's better than America, that's for sure. Like we
Probably.
have,
It's
yeah,
out.
yeah,
It's
like
not America, so it must be better.
yeah, yeah. No, it's pretty good. Like it takes time to get on the public health care. It takes time. Like when I first got on, it took me like maybe 5 months to be able to see a surgeon, and now it's like waiting for the surgery or whatever. So it gets done eventually, but yeah, like what do you call, like the the welfare,
Hmm.
like
The
because
dole.
I've got this like job searcher, so that's been helping me like pay for some food basically, because that's been yeah, I've been so debilitating. I was working, um I got a really cool job when I came back. I was working as a prop maker for the movies,
Oh, that's
so
cool.
for the film Voltron,
Well,
which
they're
is
making a film for Voltron.
they're making a film for Voltron. I think it'll be released in 2027. It got recorded in Australia,
Oh,
and I was a prop maker. I was building like the laser rifles and like a lot of the prop weapons inside that
cool.
that movie that'll be coming out. And that was a really, really good job, but that was like 10-hour days
Mm.
working. I still had this back injury, but I was like able to be standing and sitting at the table so I wouldn't be moving around. And that was really good. But then once that finished, and I can't get work again because of spine injury, like to just get your foot in the door,
Mm.
it's been really difficult. But the social security has been like keeping me afloat, because
Mm.
it's been really debilitating.
Have you ever looked into education? Because, for example, substitute teaching is one of these jobs that's kind of nice, where you don't have to necessarily do a lot of physical labor. I mean, children can be exhausting in their own way, but I found that jobs like that can also be pretty nice. I don't know how it
I've
is in
always
Australia.
been practical, hands-based thing,
Hmm.
like manufacture. Like I did have a job lined up to be working as a carpenter. Like I had a friend whose brother was a carpenter, and he was building a house. I had that all lined up, and then I fucked my back so much. So it's like you say, trying to find this new thing that's not going to be um, aggravating the back, and
Mm.
what I'm good at, I can't do at the moment, which is really
Right.
frustrating. And then this idea to switch to some stream, like I can't do a waiting job or any of these low skilled, because it's a lot of walking around
Mm.
and standing. So it's just at this moment I'm just like recovering, working on these exercises to strengthen my back and waiting for the surgery, because it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, yeah,
it's
I hope that
debilitating.
comes soon. But I would also add though, for education, your skills could also be good because kids need that kind of education too. So maybe you could find a way where you could help teaching, and then you do
Yeah,
less of the physical labor. You're not like working as a carpenter, doing all that heavy lifting. Finding a way to work with
yeah,
kids, helping them, that might be able to, at least that would maybe be more interesting.
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's trying to find that new career change thing, and like basically after 10 years of traveling and living free nomadic lifestyle and
Yeah,
then returning home, it's a really socially adjustment period difficulty. You've probably
yeah.
gone through the same thing, I would imagine,
Oh yeah.
especially coming to your own country. And I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
speak, I was in non-English speaking countries for a decade,
Yeah.
basically. So I got like quite used to being alone and then coming back and just like, just overwhelmed.
It is. Yeah, cultural cringe. Did you experience some cultural cringe?
Yeah, well, it's like when you're traveling, you're in a foreign place, you just kind of you accept it, you don't know the nuances, but when you're in your own place, you just kind of like you have a lot of like judgments, prejudgments, because
Mm,
it's like you have a education about how something is and what it's going to be. And I found this when I was traveling, like you'd be around like people who'd invite you into the house, be amazing people, and then you'd sitting with them, and then you're like, it happened to me. It was like, oh, these are the people I wouldn't associate with back home. Like these are the rough types, but they're really good, open people with a big heart. It's just misunderstood. And coming back to your own country and then trying to remove all of those layers of prejudgment that you
mm,
had
mm-hmm.
after before traveling.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of cultural cringe of just like, oh, I wouldn't do that way.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, of course, just being outside of your own country for a while. I don't know if you had the experience of meeting Australians when you were traveling and just listening to how they talk or just some sensibilities that they might have and almost wanting to run away. Sometimes I
Yeah,
feel that way about people from the US. I would hear American accents and just want to hide and I tried my best to have an accent that that was more understandable by people and speaking like kind of international English accent just to not be
yeah,
identifiable because
yeah,
everyone has assumptions about where you're from immediately if they know where you're from and the United States carries a lot of stereotypes that have been I mean there's reasons for those stereotypes many times. So I'm trying to break out of them.
yeah. Well, I actually found when I was traveling, being Australian, then you get a free ticket, which just
Mm.
you're Australian. Wow, let me give you everything, and it was like I got I got so annoyed about that just automatic that I just stopped saying I was from Australia and I put a more British accent on and I thought I had a quite like because at the beginning of traveling, when I spoke Australian, I was like couch surfing in Poland. People just didn't understand a word I said. Like I remember staying with this one girl, and then she's like she couldn't understand me. Said, but why speak like this then? She's like, yes. They learned English in the school, so I had to really mute it. But then I got so good at that that one time I was on the U-Bahn in Berlin and someone came up to me and said, blah 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 blah. And I said, what? Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, that's not German. It's not a European language. I couldn't figure out what language this guy was speaking. And then my German mate next to me says, he's speaking Australian. And he said, you're a long way from Byron, aren't you, mate? Which translated, you're a long way from Byron Bay, aren't you, mate? Because he saw I had a didgeridoo on my shoulder. But for a second, I had no idea what the hell he said. My own language, I couldn't understand it. So I can understand fully why I had to like mask it. Because now I come to Australia and I've been back for a while. It comes back pretty quickly, but for a long time, I had to mute it because
Yeah.
it got so annoying to be, yeah. I mean, it went the other way because I had a big beard and I had like when I was traveling, I had a beard and people would be saying, "Hey, Bin Laden, Taliban," like non-stop just because of the beard. It got so frustrating, like just this that I would go like, "Oh, hi, my name's Ben Laden," because I would tell the joke first. So then they would like disarm that, because otherwise every single interaction I was in like Poland or Czech Republic was always Bin Laden, Taliban, nonstop.
Oh gosh. Uh,
And then I put on a pirate hat, and then people were like, "Hey, Jack Sparrow." Oh, that'll do. You're gonna judge me anyway. So I travel around with a pirate hat, hitchhiking around, just to like not be.
yeah, the I feel like yeah, a lot of people, the traveling people pick up that pirate aesthetic pretty easily. It there's something where you can be dirty, and if you're dressed like a pirate, it's cool.
Yeah. Are you there? It's paused,
Yeah.
glitched
Oh,
out.
maybe turn off your performance audio again because
Ah, yes.
yeah.
Oh man.
All right.
Interactive viewing performances. How long have you been doing this podcast for?
It this is the wait. This is going to be the 13th episode, so it'll be 3 years. Yeah.
3 years.
Yeah, but I only do four a year. I do it on the solstice, equinox, and yeah, basically the solstices and equinoxes. So this is for the winter solstice coming up. I just released
Okay.
one,
Even
uh,
though it was just the
the
equinox
equinox. Yeah,
a few.
yeah, because I just released the last one for the equinox, and now I'm interviewing you for the solstice, which is cool because you already brought up your story about the solstice.
Yeah, that would have been the winter solstice. So this is for
Mm.
that solstice.
Yeah, it'll be the
Right
winter
now,
for
what is it?
us.
It's September.
Yeah. And today
That
is for me it's September 25th. What day is it for you?
it's September 26th.
What?
Because
You're in tomorrow.
yeah, it's AM in the morning. So yeah, well, you before midnight over there.
Yeah, it's 6 p.m.
You're in Kansas?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, there you go. Talking to you from the future.
It really seems like it. Can you tell
Even
me a
though,
lotto number or
even though if
something?
it comes out, it'll be the past.
That glitched out.
Yeah, no, because I remember September 11 being September 10. Like, what? Because it
Wait,
was,
or was it
yeah.
September 12th for you?
Well, that one makes more sense.
Yeah. Otherwise,
Oh, fuck, I don't know. But I remember it being a different date.
just travel around backwards around the world one more time, and you you can do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
I can't figure out how to turn off this audio thing. It seems to be
that's all right.
frozen, but fuck it.
We'll make do. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so extended traveling, I mean, I was gone for 8 years. You were gone for 10 years. It's such a, I didn't expect to be gone that long. I thought I was going for a short trip, but then suddenly I learned how to survive without having to
Yeah,
have a job. And I was just doing everything I could to stay alive, and I was able to. And I thought, I mean, that was really an interesting to discover about yourself that you can just function
yeah.
and exist as a human animal and you don't have to necessarily exist the way that you've been taught your whole life.
Yeah, that's what I found, because like I started traveling initially. Like I studied at university. I was a civil engineer, and I worked out for 4 years. And then during that time, I ended up uh, coming down with the old case of the cancer, and I had to go through the whole chemotherapy bloody experience at 20. I would have been 24 or 23 when that
Yeah.
happened. So because of that whole experience, then I just decided, you know what, I'm going to take a year off and just experience life and the world and traveling for a bit. So I took a one-way ticket, and it and like I went from being in a job, like professional job, and working like government job, 9 to 5, engineer, sit in front of the desk, just become a robot. I needed to get glasses from sitting in front of the computer all day, and then I said, nah, screw this. I started traveling, and then I was just backpacking, and then I thought, oh, try and save money and see if I can stretch this out, because I thought I'd only travel for a year, and then I'd come back to Australia. Then I was hitchhiking to save money. I was couch surfing, and then somewhere along the way, um, I met a guy. It's actually quite funny, like, cause I never played the didgeridoo in Australia. Like, I could do the circular breathing, but I never thought that I could play it decently, or like be a street performer or anything like that. But then when we were climbing, I was on a rock climbing trip. Sorry, this is a bit scattered story, but
It's
yeah,
all
I was on
right.
a rock climbing trip. I was on a rock climbing trip to Spain, and as we were like, we were gonna climb the mountain the next day, and we are sleeping in the bushes, like, because it was a real touristy, bloody, like, high rises on the seaside, kind of touristy town, like, not very pleasant place. But so we were camping there, and then there was a homeless German guy sleeping in a cardboard box who came out in the morning. I was like, what the fuck's this guy? And then and I said I was from Australia, and he goes, what? And he comes back and he has a didgeridoo in his cardboard box. so,
Wow.
so it took me 10 minutes to even get a sound from it. And then I was playing, and this guy's like, wow, you're the best didgeridoo player I've ever heard. I'm like, oh, really? I just play for myself. So anyway, we did this climb. I ended up having a 25-meter fall on trad climbing where all the gear popped out. So I ended up having like a near-death experience, falling 25 meters, but luckily one piece saved. Like, it was
Oh,
life flashed before the eyes, kind of like really crazy experience. Um, and that was the day that I got my first didgeridoo. Basically, when I had this near-death experience, I find it quite poetic. Um, but yeah, like, after I finished this climb, I went up with this German guy, and then I traveled with him for a little bit. And because he's like, oh, you got to teach me some didgeridoo. So then he was teaching me how to be kind of like off the radar.
hmm.
Gave me all of these tips on how to, like, because like in Spain, there's a lot of like summer homes that are empty for the rest of the year. So there's like a balcony in the front of it. You just go sleep on the balcony. You don't take anything. You clean up when you've done. No one ever knows you're there, and you've just got a tent, you don't even a roof that you don't even need to set up everywhere. So then I was traveling with him. I learned how to busk, and then he ended up giving me a didgeridoo. He said, I just bought this one for 80 euro, and I was like, oh, I've got 80 euro in my pocket. What if I give you 75? And then I wanted to see how long that 5 euro could last, and then I ended up spending 4 months before I even like touched any of my savings again. And then I was just like, yeah, by getting that didgeridoo, then it unlocked that ability to just like keep going.
Hmm.
First, I wasn't so good, and I would make my money run out slower. And then I got to a level where I could just like, I got so used to living like um, as like a human nomad, kind of sleeping outside in a tent, hidden in the morning, no cost, hitchhiking everywhere, and I didn't have a phone, I didn't have a camera. Like, I just went completely against technology, because I used to be a gaming addict. I used to sit in front of the computer all day, all night, just play the games. And then when I started traveling and I got rid of the smartphone, so I didn't have a bloody YouTube on my thing all the time, and didn't have data, and you could only sit in a cafe on your laptop. And that was really, really nice, because it took me away from the technology addiction
Hmm.
that we have. And that's
Yeah.
actually one of the most difficult parts about returning home to society, is
Hmm.
then everything now you have to have a smartphone to pay for things, to be
Hmm.
part of anything, and then you've got it, and then there's 600
Hmm.
notifications and the emails, and it's just like this overwhelm after not having that for so long. And then I come back, and if you're more than 5 years away, they remove you from social security, so you have to like prove who you are again. and that
Hmm.
took me like 2 months to get back in the system. Like
Wow.
they completely removed all the evidence and like, oh, to check your identity, what's your? Oh, I don't know. I haven't got anything for 10 years. So it's been really, really difficult to come back to get back because you got to interface with society again with this stupid smartphone thing, and
Hmm.
then just every time you pick it up and then you're on Facebook and without even realizing you're bloody 3 menus deep and you're like, oh fuck, that's not what was I here for. So
Yeah.
struggling a lot with this forced technological adaptation of society. It's I don't know how, I don't understand it. Like you can see with my trying to figure out the Zoom thing, it's just like, oh, I just make it
Yeah.
work.
I feel it. I remember always having a phone that was not, I didn't ever have a SIM card hardly. I mean, maybe there was a few times I had a SIM card, but almost all the time I didn't. And I just used the phone around Wi-Fi. And I started to really like that because then I couldn't really always be on the internet because I'd have to go to the internet. And that was part
Yeah,
of my ritual was, okay, I'm going to go have internet time. And I would write down notes of what to look up. It would be like I would
yeah,
have things to do and then I would go to the internet and it was like going to the library. And now it's just always around and it's so easy just to scroll endlessly on social media when you're not doing anything. I mean, I love the devices. I think that the technology is so cool. You can do so many things with it, but it's also it's like this barrage of random information that you're not choosing that's just getting thrown at you, and we have no
and it
control over
doesn't
that.
stop.
But as a musician, for example, if you're expected now to be a performer and always share your situation online too. So for musicians, we're expected to be constantly making videos and sharing them on social media about what we're doing and stuff like that. And there's just this kind of need to always be affirming your presence online. Otherwise, you don't exist, right? Like the Australian government won't even know you exist if you don't
Yeah,
post online. If you don't post online, you won't get Social Security. It's like you have to exist on the internet to
yeah,
be
yeah,
real at all. But ultimately, the internet is kind of fake. I mean, it's just a bunch of images. And now with the AI stuff, who knows? This could be a fake conversation. This could be a generated conversation by a AI bot, and no
yeah,
one will even know. Yeah, I remember hanging out
yeah,
with you. We would talk about philosophy and things like that, and you used to draw lots of tesseracts and hyperdimensional objects, and that I always liked that because I remember reading a book when I
yeah,
grew up. It was called The Boy Who Reversed Himself, and it was a story about a boy who went into the fourth dimension and came back backwards, and a girl noticed because he had a gap on his teeth,
yeah.
and then it switched, and she was like, "What happened to you?" And it was because he went into the fourth dimension and came back in reversed. And that book was amazing. It was
And
by
inside
William
out.
Slater.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sounds pretty accurate.
Right? Yeah, and like I remember like he took her to the fourth dimension too, and then they would eating ketchup would be like a drug or something. It was like they got high on the ketchup because the molecules were reversed to them. So there's all these things that
Oh yeah,
changed when they were flipped. And then they got captured by some beings and as like pets. And these four-dimensional beings would give them special glasses that allowed them to see better in fourth dimensional space, and they were being made to run on all these mazes and things like that too. It was pretty far out book for a kid
oh
to
yeah.
read.
It can get super confusing in the fourth dimension.
Yeah.
If you have like a 4D cube, you turn 90 degrees 3 times and you're back in the same room. So it's like kind of this like twisted thing. So as you move around, it kind of adds to it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I
So it
imagine.
can be super confusing. 'Cause I keep on trying to visualize it and to be able to like rotate this thing. Like to
Mm,
build a cube in your mind is easy, but to build a hypercube, it's kind of like it's a little bit of intuition, non-regular way of thinking.
yeah. Kind of kaleidoscopic, I imagine. Have you seen the film Interstellar?
Yeah, yeah. When it's like that time dimension planet thing
Right, when they go into the black
with
hole
the
and then
cat.
there's this like stretched out space which is really the room that allows him to connect back with his daughter through time. And that's, I mean, that's kind I think that's one of the best representations of what a tesseract must be like to be inside, because it's just like stretched out version of that space. Kind of like if you took a bunch of nitrous oxide or something and we're about to pass out. I mean, it definitely, if you're going into that space where your consciousness is extremely altered, it does have that kind of feeling too of where the walls and everything are stretching and you're almost like sinking back into the back of your head or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I remember watching some video of, I think it was some Stanford scientists, they were mathematicians or something, computer scientists, whatever, and the talk was on um, DMT space and the
Hmm.
different levels of, there's like they were putting forward that it was like hyperbolic space, like it was actually
Uh, it's it's really breaking up. I guess the elves don't want this information revealed.
again
I really
going
want to.
on about the DMT space. It was like a bit different dimension. I don't know.
Yeah,
Is it
yeah,
broken?
but parabolic. I can't try to repeat that because so you're saying the DMT
Hyperbolic.
space,
Hyperbolic.
hyperbolic.
It's like as you turn extra basically. If you go
Mm,
turn here, then you're turning a bit extra. So when you come back, you kind of it's impossible to turn the same way because
mm,
you're kind of as you move more angle than you
mm.
actually are. If that it's hard to explain. I can't really
I had one experience
put it
like that
forward.
when I was with some friends and we tried to use this Salvia divinorum and it was a very potent extract of it and we
Okay.
smoked it and I would not recommend to do that to anyone, but we did, and it was one of the most frightening experiences of my life. I did feel like the room was the inside of my head, and my face had turned inside out and was wrapped around, so that like my face was the back wall of the room, and everything went around it, and it was just so frightening. And I remember getting up and feeling like I was being twisted, and it was just kind of like I was moving, being pulled around some axis in me that I could not really see, but I could feel it quite strongly. And this thing was wanting me to go into the bathroom, and I didn't want to, so I left the house and went outside. It was a terrifying experience, absolutely
Yeah.
terrifying. I would not recommend anyone to try that unless they want to be
I've heard that a
afraid.
lot. I've heard that a lot. Those are one of those ones you just like if you're game, but be
Yeah,
aware
yeah,
it's gonna be a wild ride. So
yeah, not
no, I've
recommended.
no,
Um,
I did enough experimenting with chemicals and things on my travels, and now for me it's like just 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 natural things,
yeah,
mushrooms and weed. That's the only thing I'll bother with anymore. Like
yeah.
yeah.
I don't
Actually,
even. I've.
when we were at that
Oh yeah.
Albania place, and I was doing all this Wim Hof stuff, I managed to get up to a 4.5 minute breath hold. And I remember one time, we're about to eat, and there was the singing circle, and I was off to the side, and I held my breath for maybe like 3 minutes or something, and then they were doing the song just before the Om. So I stood up just before they ommed after 3 minutes holding my breath, and then I inserted myself into the circle, and I'm a tall guy, and if I stand up too quickly on the best of days, I'm gonna like white out a little bit, and like usually if I white out, I'll go touch the ground or something. Um, I've never passed out, but being tall, you have the head spins all the time. So 3 minutes head spin, and then I stood up and I was holding the hands, and I was like full on wide out, and I was just like I couldn't go to the ground, so that I ended up stepping through it, and then whoosh, everyone turned to feathers and had a full DMT experience, like natural.
Wow.
No, nothing was taken because I wasn't even smoking weed during that gathering,
Yeah, it was
and
a healing
yeah,
gathering.
just holding my breath, standing up, and then sitting in the circle with everyone oming, and then just whoosh, it was amazing. It was a full on natural DMT experience. from
Yeah.
the breath holding.
Well, the breath work is definitely can bring you there. And I imagine if you don't have oxygen for several minutes and then you get it, it's gonna hit you with its full psychoactive effect because that
Getting high on
depletion
your
and then
own
the
supply,
yeah,
as
yeah, the breathwork people are
Mr.
really
Hoff would
onto
say.
that. There's something there.
Yeah, yeah,
The people playing with their breath and learning how to alter their states of consciousness. Yeah, I don't even have
that's
caffeine nowadays. I stopped
that's.
caffeine. Do you drink caffeine?
I went kind of. I went. I go in waves of substances. So like, I wasn't drinking for a while. Now I'm drinking again. Um, I yeah, I'm on coffee. Like I have milk, and I know that I shouldn't have milk. It's one of those things. It's trying to listen to the body. It's just like, but it's so good. And
Yeah.
every time you have a milk straight to the toilet, I got to learn to listen to the body more, because it's like I know, and if I avoid it, it's better. But it's those things that are nice, like alcohol and smoking and all these things
Mm,
that just kind of fall back into.
yeah.
And it's like one of those things. If I'm going through like a difficult time, it's good to have like one crutch to hold on to, but then it's so easy to fall into a habitual usage, and then it's trying to like go in waves, have one thing available, let the body recover
Mm,
in other situations. So
yeah.
yeah, I don't know,
It's
but no, I'm on
really
the coffee.
addictions are just everywhere. I mean, quitting something but finding something else. Like you have a phone, you got coffee, you got things to smoke, you got things to drink, and I'm doing my best, but I don't know. I've been eating a lot more meat being back in the States, I'll tell you that. And then
Yeah,
there's a whole part of me that's like, that's okay. That's okay. And we're humans have
yeah,
eaten meat for thousands and millions of years, even maybe. But yeah, being too pure is also its own poison. Purity is poisonous. Purity will kill you too. So the
yeah, yeah.
like it's kind of good to be a little bit corrupted so that way you just aren't an asshole to everyone that that
Yeah,
can't meet the
it's kind
standards
of
or
it's kind of
whatever.
this balance too, because like everyone drinks, and then if you're sober around drunk people, it's
Oh,
it's really fucking lame,
yeah, they're
and
annoying.
it's like the social aspect of drinking is kind of so hard to avoid, and every time that I've tried to be not drinking, I've really struggled with the social aspect of it, of like going out with mates and going to this I like this go to the pub, and it's like, oh, I'll have a lemonade or whatever. It's like
Well,
I don't really drink sugary drinks, so that it's like if I
yeah.
stop drinking, then I end up eating sugary drinks to just be normal or whatever,
There are a
to
lot
not
of
be standing there in a bar without holding something. It's just, for me, it's
yeah,
always been too difficult.
yeah.
It's strange.
Luckily, there are a lot of really nice non-alcoholic beers nowadays. So I usually get a non-alcoholic pale ale or something like that. There's a non-alcoholic Guinness that's pretty tasty. Or
Yeah,
I get like a seltzer water with bitters, a splash of bitters and some lemon or lime.
yeah,
Kombucha. Oftentimes
yeah. It's
places will
definitely
have a
alternative.
kombucha. I try a lot because yeah, I you do have this feeling that when people are drinking that you also want to drink something, but it doesn't have to necessarily be alcohol. But I also just know that my relationship with alcohol is better if we don't have one. Because
Yeah,
when I came back in the country, I was just drinking beers and just drinking wine. At one point, I would drink a bottle of wine at night by myself and then wake up in the morning like, what the heck? That doesn't feel good to do that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I
What's the
think
point?
I also gained some weight coming back into the country. I gained quite a bit. I made, at least like 10 kilos or something. So, that's they talk about the freshman 15 sometimes when people are freshmen in college, they drink so much alcohol, they gain a lot of weight. And so they gain like 15 pounds or whatever that is, like 7 or 8 kilos or something like that. And then they they call it the freshman 15. So I guess there's also a United States 15 because just coming back in this country, I gained quite a bit of weight and it shocked me. So,
How was it though, with like the quality of food in the States compared to Europe?
oh, mm, it varies, but I mean, being around the Mediterranean places where you can just get 20 kinds of olives for like $2, $2 or $3 a
Yeah,
kilo, and lots of fresh things. The meals that people would eat. I love the Turkish breakfast. The Turkish breakfast with like the 20 little plates of different kinds of cheese
yeah,
and
yeah.
jams and tomato and cucumber and olives and egg and the bread. I mean, the bread. The United States does not understand what fresh bread can be like because in most other places, all over my travels, you could get fresh baked bread, and that was really important to people. Even that village in Albania, there was a truck that would drive in and deliver freshly baked bread, and we just don't have that. People buy this weird bread made from this flour that has all of these additives in it, like not like iron, non-soluble iron, and riboflavin, and all these weird genetically modified or petroleum product compounds, which they say is enriching it to be like these like molecules shaped like vitamins, a lot of times made out of petrochemicals, and they put that in the bread, and then we get this bread, and it's not the same. It's not the same. And in Switzerland, you can go to a gas station and get the most delicious fresh bread that you'd ever tasted
Oh
in a
yeah,
gas station in
German bread.
Switzerland. So the bread sucks. Uh, I mean,
We have the same in Australia with the shit
yeah,
bread. Yeah.
yeah. It's
You got to
like,
find some country town which was settled by Germans, and you'll find like a German baker that you'll get, but then it'll be like $15 for a loaf, and you're like, it's crazy.
yeah,
To get
exactly. It's
quality
so
bread,
expensive.
it's like ridiculous.
Absolutely. Yeah, same. I mean, you can find fresh bread, but it is so expensive and not everywhere. So that's
Yeah.
that's that's one of the main things. I remember coming back and noticing how much water was in the toilets, and that disturbed me because it just seemed the toilets were full of water, and it just seemed so wasteful to me. I don't know why that was, but that was one of the details I noticed. And yeah, it was so weird coming back into the States. Everything was so expensive. My friend took me to get some tacos, and they were about $7 a taco. And I felt weird to get two of them because, I mean, that's like 15 bucks almost. And I mean, that would be like a really nice meal in somewhere like Turkey. I was buying a full breakfast for like less than $5 a lot of times there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a big shock how expensive everything is. And when people talk about how much money there is in this country, but we spend so much, and people can barely keep up. People can barely keep up with it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very very similar thing happening to me because I traveled for 10 years. And during that time, we had the pandemic and all the inflation.
Yeah.
So not only is Australia is always an expensive country. I mean, our wage is pretty good. Like when you're working, everything's fine, because we get a decent wage. Um, but coming back after 10 years, after living in like Berlin, which is super cheap city, and in the Balkans, and living in the villages, and where you could get a kilo of potatoes for like 20 cents from a villager, kind of thing. Um, and then coming back to Australia, and the price of things, where like a kilo of bananas is like $5 or something, when it was like a buck back in the day. Everything's gotten to like triple, four times as much as it was back in the day. And then I've been traveling, living off street change,
Yeah.
and then coming back here, it's just like what? Every time you go to the supermarket, that's $50. It's like what? That's like 2 days' food. How? I don't understand. So like really learning how to not like buy just shit to
Yeah.
stretch the money out, and it's like when I was traveling, I would just be in a new town, and I would play my music, and I'd sit down and just like, oh, I got some money, oh, I can eat today, and just the experience. But then coming back and having to play the normal game, and I can't just go sleep in the bush the spiders and the snakes and shit. Like right now in this camp, I've got like spiders like in my bin kind of thing.
Those are
Just like,
huntsman
oh
spiders,
hello,
though, right?
just kind of huntsman spiders. Yeah, yeah.
They're not
Um,
They're not
you
venomous.
just kind of got to learn to deal with it. When I was in Europe, you could just sleep wherever. I never had to worry about accommodation. Wasn't weather was decent most of the time, except for winter. And then coming back here, I could just like sleep in the bush. It's scary.
Yeah. So, what, do you sleep in a hammock
Yeah.
right now? Like, how do you protect yourself from critters?
No, no, I got a tent, so I've got like yeah, I can do a little tour, I guess. I can't.
It'll be like a photo montage.
Yeah, so now I've building the floor. It's all sand. It's like a seating space over here.
Hold it still. It's not. You have to do it real slow.
Oh yeah, 'cause it's a shitty connection.
Yeah.
So I got like a
I still see your
sofa and
face from when you were getting up.
oh, is that bad? Is that bad connection? Is it?
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Well,
now I see your face under the tarp or whatever that is. Okay,
yeah.
there's your
So
tent.
I got the top and the fresh water flowing past. Yeah. So
It's
no, I've got pretty decent setup. It gets hot during the day. I go for a swim. Oh fuck.
There we are.
There we go. Okay. New position.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good setup. How is busking in Brisbane?
Um, I haven't really tried since I've been back. I've done a couple of performances, like I've been doing these like chaos cabaret. So it's basically I've been doing some of my busking routines, but I don't know. I haven't really felt comfortable busking in Australia.
Yeah, I
Like,
feel the same way. I did it a little bit one summer. There was like one place in Kansas City that I found that I could make some money busking, but I just got tired of it. Now it's much more interesting to play concerts, but not I'm not doing my music for survival. It's more just for my own enjoyment and playing with my friends or playing by myself just to do it. And the pressure of busking to survive can sometimes make it not very fun even to play music.
yeah, it it kind of can take it out of you. Like when I was traveling and I was living day to day, and it was kind of like I would have to play to be able to eat,
Right.
basically. Um, and that was really fun also because it was a way to travel. So you'd go to the square, you'd always be in different places. It was fresh. But come in here and then, like you can only sit in front of like a shopping center or something. So then
Mm,
you're in the car park, and then the security move you along, and it's like
yeah.
I don't know.
Man, we had some good times busking in Skopje. I'm fondly remembering some of those jam sessions we had on that bridge and in
Yeah,
the mall.
yeah, that was honestly like yeah, because that was during the pandemic, and all the borders kept on opening and closing except for Macedonia. So everyone, all the travelers ended up in Macedonia, and yeah, I remember you were playing your sass and playing all this Sufi music,
hmm
and playing the didge along to this Sufi music and learning all these odd time signatures. That was like that was I would look for that would be like the highlight of my day, just sitting and jamming with you on that bridge. That was just so beautiful,
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
enjoyed that.
and
Did you have some recordings from that? Did you get some phone recordings?
I do have some phone recordings of that. Yeah,
I would love it if you
I
could
listen to
send
them
them
from
to me.
time to time. Yeah, I'll send them to you because that's like some of the best recordings I've done. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed that collaboration with you. We'd sit in the bridge, I think we'd make like €5
Yeah.
each or whatever, and the hostel was €5, and I was completely tapped out of money. There was no travelers, so like I remember during that time it was winter, it was February,
Mm-hmm.
and I could either I could either pay for the hostel or pay for food. And I had a deal with the hostel that I could hang out during the day, and then I just bugger off during the night. And I was sleeping in an abandoned tunnel underneath the castle in some old bomb shelter. It was
That's cool.
so hard, so crazy. And then I'd come out in the morning and I'd meet up with you, and we'd busk on the bridge, and it was just like it was so beautiful. Some
Yeah.
good times. And then there was a lot of the musicians because there was no gigs around, so we would go to some apartment and jam and like.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that collective. There were so many instruments from all over the world and amazing musicians. That was some of the most amazing musical experiences I had with you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Macedonia, it's just every time I would return there, there start to be this sense of home and familiarity and lack of airs about itself. And I really appreciated that there was these folks who had such an interesting musical tradition, and we're also had a lot of humility and respect and just like kind of hanging out. But yeah, I feel like Macedonia. There was a joke that when they wanted to call it North Macedonia because the Greeks and I made a joke about it, and it was that Macedonia had to choose a new name. It could either become Southern Serbia, Eastern Albania, Northern Greece, or Western Bulgaria. Yeah, it's kind of it's so funny because it's sad because it's just like that's kind of how everyone's viewing it. Everyone wants to take a piece, and at the same time, Macedonia holds a lot of the keys to some of the problems of the Balkans because it is a place where Slavic people and Albanian people coexist, where there's a lot of conflict between Serbs and Albanians historically over the past, 50 years, and at least, and probably even more than that, that I'm not too aware of. But like all these most recent conflicts over Kosovo, well, if we look at Albania, there are people who are half Macedonian, half Albanian, or there's a lot of overlap going between these two cultures, and they're coexisting in a decent way. So I think that Albania or the conflict between Albanian and Serbian people could be maybe find some clues what they could do by looking at how people handle things in Macedonia.
Yeah, could be, but I think the geopolitical scale of things and it puts the finger on the pulse a bit much. Because from my understanding, and I could be wrong on this, is like Kosovo has uranium,
Hmm.
and the States wants to avoid the uranium to Russia, and Serbia was um, more closely aligned with Russia, so then they made sure that that would be a separate country, so that Russia wouldn't get supplied with uranium. That's from my understanding of it, the
Uh,
geopolitical situation, but I'm not too familiar with it all. But yeah, it is very interesting. Like because that region is all over the centuries, historically a very conflicting place. It's always ebbing and flowing,
hmm.
and yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that point.
I
I
mean,
lost
yeah,
lost
just
my
bringing
train.
it up about the minerals and the United States makes me see why a resolution will never work.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I,
just
I
looking.
think that the states, because you go down the in Tirana, Pristina, the capital of
Uh-huh.
Kosovo, and then you got like George Bush Boulevard and
Oh,
The statue of Bill Clinton and things like this. So it's got that little and the only time during the pandemic that I really felt or saw it was when I was in Pristina, because all throughout the rest of the Balkans, people just like pandemia, and no one gave a shit about it. And
there's
then
such conspiracy theorists in the Balkans.
yeah, all conspiracy theorists. And
No
then
one
and
trusts
the only
anything.
time I ever saw it was in the capital of Pristina because of the American embassy there.
Mm.
So then you'd actually have the policing of it. But everywhere else in the Balkans was just, you go to any other city, you go to in Albania or Kosovo, and it was just didn't exist. Wasn't a thing.
It's true. There was a lot of skepticism about anything happening on a global scale, but planned by governments. And I think that there's a reason why folks in that region have that suspicion because they've got a lot of experience with it, and
Yeah,
they've experienced tyranny, and they've experienced being lied to by their government. They've experienced psyops to such a degree that they have a very healthy level of skepticism about what they're being told, especially proclamations by mass media and things like that.
yeah, yeah. Going back to the Albania thing, because I remember when I was there, and I think it was, yeah, they didn't have any, and then international pressure. Then they started curfew, and then some guy, the people were going and getting cigarettes and things afterwards because no one gave a shit. It's the Balkans. Um, and then the police. This is from my memory of the situation. The police shot some guy who breached curfew, and then like shot some young dude dead. And then everyone rose up and they burnt down the Christmas tree in front of the president's house, of the president of Albania. They burnt down the Christmas tree, and then they stopped the curfew after that.
Whoa.
That's my recollection
Wow.
of the situation.
I don't remember that, but I remember staying in Tirana with and hanging out with Lazo, and then you also
Lazo,
hung
yeah,
out with
yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Laszlo, yeah, that he was a very friendly guy who loved jewels. He also did really appreciate Rocky too. He really appreciated that as well. I don't know the story of Albanians burning Christmas tree. I want to look that up. Because I remember
Yeah,
that
yeah,
I
no,
remember that quarantine. I remember even going with Laszlo one time. He's like, it doesn't matter, and we were like walking around.
Chris,
I was like, it's the curfew, and he's like, no, we'll be fine. We took the back streets. Yeah, in December 2020, Albanian protesters set fire to a Christmas tree in Tirana during demonstrations following the police killing of a 25-year-old man who had violated the coronavirus curfew. Wow.
yeah, yeah.
And there was a
And then they
clash
just
with
burnt down the
police.
Christmas tree and just like, okay, we'll stop then.
That's incredible. Yeah, they don't. I mean, people people get tired of feeling like all these things are happening to them with justification that in some ways can be seen as a psychological operation. And the Balkans was a very nice place to be around when you could talk to folks and everyone was a skeptic. I remember being in Serbia, every single person had questions about everything. And and I enjoyed the people who had questions. I mean, having questions is good. Thinking that you know the way things are is often a sign of intellectual death. Thinking that you know how things are is like the calcification of the brain to the point of inflexibility. And a brain that's not flexible is no longer growing and adapting, it's no longer evolving. So we always got to keep ourselves rejuvenated by thinking about how what we see and the way we are observing it might just not even be true at all. I loved being around those flat
Yeah,
earth people, even though I don't have a belief that the earth is flat. Being around people who were questioning that belief, I found to be quite an interesting thing because I was not able to prove it. They point out a lot of uh, things about what we are told about space and the cosmos and the shape of the planet and everything. They got me questioning what do I actually know, and I think it's very healthy to say I've never seen the Earth from space, so therefore
yeah.
having a belief about its shape isn't correct.
Are
I
you
can
one of
have
those round
information.
earthers?
What?
Are you one of those round earthers, Dandy?
I I'm like
You've been falling out because you're one of those round earthers looking at those flat earthers, but it's really a four-dimensional Earth, and there's two Earths on top of each other. One's inside out, and you live
yeah.
on both of them at the same time, and it looks like a sphere because it's like that, but it's actually two spheres and one's inside out. Don't you know?
Right. Like who knows? All I know is the world that I've seen, and even that it might not be what I think it is because it's I'm a fallible being and my observations are just from my senses. So I do know though like that it seems like people oftentimes will really try to have get you to have a belief about something. And that makes me very suspicious when someone tries to make me have a belief about something, because why
Yeah,
should I have a belief about anything? Who is it necessary for me to believe about something? Can I
yeah,
know
yeah,
information and say this is probable? Why must I have a belief? And I think that having beliefs in many ways is a commitment to the things that we couldn't know for certain. And so why have a belief? Why not just have the information and know that that belief doesn't need to exist to know the information?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. If I say I don't have a belief about Santa Claus, that doesn't mean I don't believe in Santa Claus. I could say I don't have a belief about Santa Claus. That could mean I don't believe Santa Claus exists and I don't believe he doesn't exist. And not having
Yeah,
a,
it's this.
I just don't know. I know about Santa Claus. It doesn't mean I have to
Yeah,
know if he
yeah,
exists
yeah.
or not.
It's it's the yeah, like traveling. You're in that wave of uncertainty. You don't know the country, you don't know the cultures, you don't know anything, so you don't know what to expect. So your ability to just accept any given situation is just a given because you've got no
Yeah.
choice, and you get much better at like dealing with that uncertainty. Um, but by knowing things, by wanting to know things, it can also like you focus on a problem and you get problems. Can be a manifestation of that.
Yeah.
And if you
I,
just go, oh, everything will be all right, it'll be all right until it's not, and then you fucked.
I
So it's
really
like,
liked going back to that beach in Albania. I really liked living there for months and watching the moon and the sun and the stars and seeing where the moonrise and moonset would be and the sunrise and the sunset would be, and going from the equinox to the solstice and beyond, and watching the positions of those things moving, and really seeing the way the waves would change and the way that the sea would be change in different times, and that the waves
yeah, yeah,
would be different at different times of the moon cycle, and observing that all with my own eyes and my own senses, and observing my reality and making some, not necessarily beliefs about it, but all, having those observations informing my predictions about what might happen, or informing my understanding about what might be happening. And I
yeah,
really think it's important that people make observations in their world and be natural scientists, and just don't just let people tell them the way things are, but look at it and observe things.
yeah,
You know, it's not anti-science to observe the world yourself, and also to question when someone's just trying to make you have a belief about something without
yeah,
testing it yourself. You know,
yeah,
it's really important that we observe things and we make conclusions about what we actually observe, and not just let people bulldoze us or bully us into having a belief about something that we haven't actually observed ourselves.
yeah, exactly. Like on exactly that point, being in that Albanian spot and being 4 months, because I was always kind of moving, going spot traveling, and the past forced us all to put the brakes on. So then I stayed in one spot for 4 months, and like you say, watching the sunset, and because you were looking out of the islands, and you could
Hmm.
see every day the sunset's a little closer to the side, and I stayed until the solstice. I witnessed those 3 days. So then you start seeing it go backwards, and to actually get a feeling for that, and then watching the stars and watching this Saturn Jupiter conjunction that
Mm.
was happening, and watching it like slowly, the planets moving, ring stars as they're called.
Hmm.
Um, and then I could see that like this one's moving that way and that one's moving that way, and they're actually like they intersect, they cross over. So
Mm.
it's like, oh, this in your mind it's just on a flat plane, and then suddenly you have this with my own eyes observation. Oh, of course they're not all on the same line. Everything's out, and it gave me like for the first time I had a feeling of where I was in the galaxy.
Mm.
Um, and watching the moon, and then you look at the astrology, and there's a square between Mars and whatever, which
Yeah.
just means they're 90 degrees apart. So then you can see which way the planets are all moving. So you can know, well, the sun's there, 90 degrees. So then blah, 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 you know that Mars will be there in 20 minutes. And you could like, oh, there it is, popping up over the mountain and getting that feeling for it. To have um, that feeling of where we are in the galaxy. And like, for the first time observing that, and you're like, oh yeah, I come back to Australia, I look at the stars, and I spent 10 years looking at the stars overseas, and then it's like everything's upside down. You get Orion's chasing Taurus, and then you can see the story of it, and then I come back to Australia and go, oh, hang on a second, it's all upside down, and getting this feeling of like learning this northern stars and then coming home and everything's upside down because I never looked at the stars when I was here. So it's like this really like I finally find my position in the universe and I return to my own country and it's all uncertain again because I got so used to it. And then I'm literally seeing another 30% of the galaxy that was blocked by the ground. And now I never see the North Star again. I never see the Big Dipper. That's like on the other side of the planet. So it's like this whole blind spot that I was not aware of, but that now I am aware of. And it's really weird. Because I remember when I first went to Europe, the moon was upside down. Like, oh, that's weird. The moon's upside down because I watched the moon. But then I come back here and, oh, the whole stars are upside down. It's this matter of perspective.
So in Australia, does it do COD instead of DOC?
What's COD?
Well, because like the moon, it's like the shape DOC. So the waxing is a D shape. The full moon is the O, and then the C would be the waning shape. So does it make a COD shape instead? Like, does it? You know what I
I'll
mean?
have to look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's the opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting. What are some of the big constellations you've got there? Did you see Scorpio a lot?
So like instead of the Big Dipper and the North Star, um, like you've used the Big Dipper to find the North Star, everything's rotating around that. We have the Southern Cross, and then the Southern Cross points to the south. We don't have a South Star, but you can find south using that constellation. So that's the one that stands out the most because you've got Alpha Centauri, which is the closest star, which is like pointing to the Southern Cross. So that's like the closest star. I'm not sure if you can see. You probably can't see Alpha Centauri in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah,
I would
probably
assume
not.
because it's pointing to the Southern Cross. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Um,
You know, I
so we
mean,
get all the constellations around like the equator, the ecliptic, but they're upside down because like
yeah,
if you're looking at the planet, you're
uh,
looking down and you're looking
yeah,
like up. So it's like the
hmm
optic inversion kind of thing. You're looking down at the moon and you're looking up at the moon.
mm. That's so interesting. I didn't think about that before. I know that the water goes down the drain differently below and on the other side of the equator, apparently.
Yeah, that's the Coriolis effect. That's
Mm.
the reason why cyclones, which is a hurricane in the southern hemisphere, they turn the opposite direction.
Hmm. Yeah,
Same reason the toilets flow differently. But we don't have those stupid American toilets where they go blah, 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 and we don't have that.
what do you
That's
guys
an
have?
American thing. We don't have those big swirl up swirly ones.
Huh. So
That's
what
an
do you,
American one, and like those are super wasteful water.
yeah, what is the
Crazy how
Aussie
much water
toilet
those
like?
have. They like power flush, and a lot of the times you'll have like the system up higher, so it's got more
Uh,
of a.
okay. I see.
And we
So
got the half flush. Like I think Australia invented the half flush when
hmm,
you don't need to wash away a whole turd, only a pee. You just press the half button.
to not waste water.
Yeah, yeah.
When we're talking about the stars, it makes me think a lot too about light pollution and how little access we have to the sky now. And in most settled places, one can look in the sky and barely see anything. Maybe they'll catch a couple planets and some of the brightest stars, and that that robs us of some kind of connection, like you were saying. You were speaking about that quite well, about that sense of place. And we lose our sense of place when we don't get to see those things. And it makes me
Yeah, yeah,
quite sad. Like I have to go out quite far to. I tried to see the aurora borealis, um, maybe a year ago or more, around here because someone said you could see it because there was a solar storm. And I tried. I
Golf
drove really
ball.
far out. I couldn't see it. Although later I did do an agricultural job in North Dakota last year, and the aurora borealis was quite strong, so I was able to
Oh,
witness
yeah,
it, but with my eyes, and it's so beautiful. But
yeah.
that was out in the
That
middle of
was
the
one of the
country.
amazing things from my trip. Yeah, watching the aurora borealis in Iceland. That was one of the most magical experiences I ever had. Like
Mm.
sleeping outside I was in a sleeping bag in a cave, and I was watching. There was a volcano that was erupting in the Earth, so you could see the red glow on the horizon
Uh,
above the clouds, and then you could see all the green northern lights bouncing around. And what I didn't realize is that when you have like a strong one, it was kind of like building up on the horizon, and then it kind of arced across from one sky to the other, and there's like big sudden like whoosh, and it was such a big thing that you could actually hear the wind would go.
uh,
And I was like, you could hear the northern lights? That's insane. Like, that was so crazy to experience.
mm.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah,
But yeah, like you
I'm
say
glad.
with this this light pollution stuff, yeah, it does make a difference. Like here, if I'm around the city, I don't see shit, but if I'm out here in the countryside, then I can see the Milky Way, like no problem.
Yeah,
Really beautiful stars out here.
so important. Such it's like part of
Even
our heritage.
Yeah, and being disconnected from that, like being reconnected to that while we were in Albania, that for me, I never felt more human than during that because we didn't have technology, we were living in community, we were just like hugging each other and being like this human contact. It felt so much more natural. But when you're disconnected from the stars, if you go into a city and it's you can walk at night time because of the light pollution just on the clouds kind of so strong, you can't see any stars, and it just feels so dystopian and disconnected. It's weird. You don't
Absolutely.
realize that until you reconnect to it. I
Yeah,
guess that's why we camping is so big in our culture, is like get back to that roots.
indeed. And being able to be in touch with the moon cycle was so helpful too when we were camping. And we know when the full moon would happen, and you could see outdoors finally. And being in tune with that cycle really helped a lot of things like productivity and planning, and just a sense of awareness of the internal world as well, the emotions, and seeing how the moon cycle affects your own emotional states. I found that
Yeah,
to
yeah.
be a really strong observation that I had about the moon's effect on me as a being.
Yeah, yeah. I found that also traveling and being without the phone, I didn't know the time, and my only sense of time was the moon. You'd look up and you'd see the cool moon. Oh, a week passed. I was like, oh, it's been a month since that's happened, and it was that was my sense of time, and it was kind of like without realizing it, without knowing it, I became tuned with the moon cycle. I would always move around the new moon, and like I caught myself like I would get like really like low moods and like depression. It was quite regular, and then I realized it was always a few days before the new moon, and I
Mm.
realized I had that cycle that I never connected with. I always had my moods up and down like throughout my whole life, but never really connected it that it was actually connected to the moon. It's only by traveling and learning that rhythm, then it's like, oh, okay. So then instead of going, oh, I'm feeling shit and depressed, to go, oh, I'm feeling a bit different energy. Oh, what's the moon like? Ah, it's that time. Um, so then I can just know that that's part of my moon emotional cycle, like because we're 90% or 70% water, it
Mm.
affects the tides. It naturally affects us.
Hmm.
And full moon, my ADHD gets much more hyperactive. So I feel definitely connected.
Yeah, and I think it's also the relationship of the moon with our psychology is a good lead into the parts of astrology that I really find fascinating, which is that astrology was discovered by the original astronomers who were not separating those things out. Like, I find that when people just brush away astrology too quickly, they forget that Isaac Newton and Johannes Kepler and Galileo and many more were astrologers. And the reason why they were studying the heavens was because they were using it and collecting that data so that they could make further observations of the inner world too. And there were so many like I think Isaac Newton wrote a million words on alchemy. And the alchemist's obsession with astrology and also other traditions, for example, the Vedic astrologers and such, that observing the movement of the planets and the bodies in the sky and the way that they affect us and also the way the seasons affect us, because in many ways the zodiac sign Aries, the reason why the zodiac where, okay, we're not really in Aries anymore because of the precession of the equinoxes, but for some people Aries just means the equinox, right? Like first day of Aries is the equinox, and the first day of
Yeah,
Libra is the equinox, and the first day, so these designations of Lyres, of all these designations of all of the zodiac signs is more about the seasons than it is about the stars themselves. And from what I understand, because it's less
yeah,
important that the constellation Aries is affecting us, and it's more like during this time of year in the solar journey. This is the equinox. So this is what the energy is like at the equinox, and this is at the solstice, and these are midpoints. So I think when we look
yeah,
more at astrology as though it's the seasons and the planets moving around in the seasons, that we have a holistic view. And also observing, right? Because I'm not into reading a bunch of astrology books and being told what it is. What I like to do is talk to people and find out what their zodiac configuration is, and then learning about how they behave, and then linking it to other people I know. Like if I've known like so many people who are Leos, I have an idea about what a Leo personality can be from my experience observing people. And
hmm,
I wouldn't say it's set in stone, but I definitely have observed characteristics from zodiac information and then kind of applied it in my observations of human beings.
yeah. I'm curious though with that, with the being the seasons, going back to this, like, because it's this the summer and winter equinoxes are opposite in the north and
Uh-huh.
south
Oh yeah.
hemisphere. So Aries is the beginning of autumn for us.
Huh.
So it's like does that then carry a different energy because of the seasons? And I've often wondered about that as well,
Hmm.
because I do see these because I used to think zodiacs was a piece of bullshit. I'm engineer, rational mind, but as traveling and meeting people and being open-minded about things and starting to see that will be a certain way in a Aries, blah blah blah. You meet the strong characters types, and it's like, oh, that makes sense, and you start to see those observations, um, for sure. But if it's to do with the seasons, and then with the Vedic astrology, it's like the precession of the equinoxes. So I look
Hmm.
at the Western astrology and like, oh, that makes sense for me. And then I look at the Vedic one. So what am I in Vedic? Oh, okay, that also makes sense for me, but it's
Right.
switched. So then if
Yeah.
I put myself from a Vedic one, then I'm a Leo, and then I have that different side of myself where I am much more Leo, but then my Western one is Virgo, and then it's like, no, that makes a lot of sense too. But then if I
Hmm.
try and apply that to Scorpio or something, it's like, no, I'm not like that.
Hmm.
But the Vedic and the Western do make sense. So then it's a matter of perspective. Like
Hmm.
at the moment, it's the 26th. Like we're in a different time zone. It's a different date.
Hmm.
Technically, we're talking on
Right.
different dates, but
Yeah.
you know,
You're
still
tomorrow.
in the same position in time.
I'm in yesterday. Well,
It's just the sun is facing a different way.
yeah. I
Well, the
think too
planet's facing a different way. The sun's in the same direction.
the reconciliation of the Vedic and the um what is it? What's the other Western astrology and the Vedic astrology.
Tropical,
Yeah,
tropical.
tropical astrology. I think a lot of it comes down to these are systems that people have developed. So when you're using a system that people have developed, it will tend to have a function that is higher than a system that has not been developed. So if there was
Hmm.
a so for you to be a Scorpio it wouldn't make sense because you're not a Scorpio in any developed system. You're a Scorpio in one specific system, and then the others, or no, sorry, you're a Leo. You're a Leo in one system, and you're a Virgo in the other. So you can find ways that either of those systems could work for you. In many ways, humans just make all kinds of systems, right? We're always making models and
Yeah,
maps.
and I
They're
wonder if
just
that's
maps,
like
right?
mass belief.
Yeah,
I wonder if it's kind of like an extension of the placebo effect, but mass belief enables that
yeah.
placebo effect.
Well, exactly.
Like you're saying, it's many people believe the same thing, that it has truth and reality. It's like the monkeys, the coconut, whatever that experiment, when the critical mass of them watching the coconuts, and then across the sea, when there was no interaction, then the monkeys started using the behavior. So that
It's glitching out, but I know the
one
experiment.
has an effect.
Yeah, so I couldn't hear what you're saying, but I know what you're talking about. You're talking about where the monkeys learned something in one group, and then once enough of them knew it, like 100 or something like that, then suddenly spontaneously in another place, the monkeys started to learn that thing. I yeah, the
Yeah, yeah.
placebo effect I think is such a disingenuous name because it makes it seem like you're fooling yourself. But what it really is saying is that the power of belief can change reality, right? Our belief
Yes.
changes
Yeah, it's just the
reality.
power of faith. Yeah.
And we have the
And if
Christian
enough people believe
Scientist,
it, which is that whole. Yeah, yeah.
and that's
That's why
why.
I keep on trying to change my own inner
Mm,
thinking as well, to change what I believe inside, because I
right.
can wake up one day and I feel like, oh, I feel like shit, I'm depressed today. And if I keep repeating that, then I am feeling like shit and I'm depressed. It's like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
feeling low energy and I'm going to go and go for a walk and change that thinking, change that belief. And with your own self, if you believe it enough, if I'm alone, if I'm in the wilderness, then it's like there's no problem. But and other people trying to tell me what they believe, who I am, and then trying to be like, no, I'm not like that, and you
Mm,
end up having this doubt inside yourself.
mm,
So it's about trying to find ways to change that inner thinking to be more belief, um, um, placebo effect, but more it's going to work and believe in it. Not going, oh, it might not work, and then
mm.
it's already allowing the chance that it's not going to work, so it doesn't work.
That's why I think the experiences like camping in the forest and these rainbow gatherings and things like that are so powerful because you get a bunch of people together who start to harmonize their beliefs, and no one's on the internet being told what to think by these algorithms. So we all start really reinforcing one another's observations, and we're observing things as a group and sharing those feelings and starting to build a kind of collective energy. And then when we look at media, and it seems media is designed to control our magic power of perception in many ways, like the news, the television news, just making us afraid all the time, and also social media making us insecure, making us doubt ourselves, making us not feel powerful and strong. And so, yeah, the messages that are coming to us from places of control want to make sure that we don't empower ourselves too much. But then when we harmonize and get with a group of people who believe in each other and start to lift one another up, we can really change some things. We can move mountains that way.
Yeah, yeah. Divide and conquer.
Age old strategy.
Yeah,
Well,
and also with on that same topic, it's like now with this uh, um, uptick of AI generation things, it's that information that we're getting true, and we already have this kind of that ability to kind of discern information and we're bombarded by information. That's getting bombarded by information that's like potentially just bullshit or just generated. So you look at all these Facebook things, it's like, oh, there's a really convincing photo and a bullshit fact that you know is bullshit. But more and more, that bridge between what's reality and what's bullshit is getting more difficult to disseminate. So with that, we're all like, oh, I don't want to look at it, and we're just ignoring it because it's like too overwhelming to look. And you watch the news and you're like, oh, that's too much, and you stop caring about it. I was following what was happening with the states for quite a while because it's like, wow, that's a big significant thing that's affecting the world. I want to know what's happening, but it's just so overwhelming. You're just like, oh, I can't deal with it anymore. I'm here.
Yeah.
It's the other side of the planet. That's your problem. You guys are going to deal with it, and it's all going to be shifting around. And I can't change the situation. So I just back off and
Yeah.
accept whatever's happening. But with you over there, it's like you can't because it's relevant. So you got to keep looking at that information. But it's
Yeah.
just overwhelming.
It is. It can be paralyzing. I mean, especially with, for example, the Palestine and Israeli conflict. I mean, this genocide happening in front of
Yeah.
everyone's eyes on TV. But then when you talk to someone, many people have different perspectives on that. Some people think that it's a genocide, and other people will say it's not, and will say that there's terrorism, and they're so sure of their beliefs and they have this certainty about it. And I'm not there. I'm not there, but I know what I've heard from others that terrible things are happening, and I don't want terrible things to happen. I want people to be peaceful, and all I can do is pray for people to be peaceful and stop acting like this. But at the same time, I'm quite powerless to go and do anything directly to make anyone stop acting foolish and violent. And I have
Hmm.
no way to do that over there. All I can do is work on in my own area. But I do think also ignoring things completely is in a way a kind of retreat. So it's like we have to find a way to observe what's going on and take information, and also to understand that we don't know complete information, and also be at peace with understanding the world we want to see and the world we want to create, creating that where we are with the information we have, understanding that that information may not be accurate, but we have to do something, right? We can't be so skeptical that no information is true, and we can't
Hmm.
be so gullible that all information is true. So there's this
Yeah.
delicate dance of reality weaving, of having your empowerment and also seeing what the world could be like, possibly, and working towards making
Yeah.
it in a way that's good for people.
Yeah. That's that locally, think globally, act locally.
Yeah. The Emerald
Find
Tablet too.
communities, community garden spaces. Like they since I came back, there's been a big movement. Many people in Brisbane have chickens in the garden,
Mm.
like um, much more like. But then with this like egg crisis shit now, so then you're not allowed pets, chickens, and
Oh,
killing
really?
chickens. So it's kind of like a yeah, because of this bird flu thing. I can't,
Uh,
I haven't really been paying attention to it all, but there was the eggs are so crazy expensive at the moment, like in the supermarkets. But there was a stage when people were growing lots of chickens in the
mm.
backyard, and then they had to stop because of bird flu or whatever.
Ah, how convenient. You're not allowed to have you're not allowed to be self-sufficient because you might get sick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't really know.
the constant game, isn't it? It's like we don't know. But I think we're being intelligent to say we don't know. That's a sign of
Yeah,
smart thinking to know that we don't know.
yeah.
Uh,
There's faith and there's blind faith.
yeah, exactly. I'm really a fan of having information, but not not pressuring myself to have a belief about information. Maybe having an understanding of the probability of truth rather than a certainty about the truth. and look at trends and correlations and probabilities and likelihoods and information and evidence, but also understanding that these are all creating a model of what the world is. And we have a model. The model is not the territory. The map is not the territory. Every time we have a model, it can help us to make some predictions. It can help us to have a sense of security and understanding, but that model is just a model. It's helpful to a point, and it's probably not going to work in other things. No model works for everything. I can't use Google Maps to find to look inside my house and find where I left my phone charger. I can't use a handwritten account from someone 500 years ago to find out about a thing in Minecraft, the video game. It's like we have information that describes situations, but outside of that situation, that information can be very unreliable. Even in the situation can be unreliable. That's okay. That's the mystery, right?
Yeah.
Well, so what's next, Michael? What do you want to do?
So I'm just waiting for this surgery, um, and I'm using this time that I can do my exercises and heal to work on healing and just start tinkering, try sell things at markets to kind of like get me by. But for the time being, I'm going to be here for like a month and just a downtime to just recover. And I know next year there might be another movie that I could be potentially working on, because that's a really fun really fun, interesting job that I was super
Mm,
lucky to fall into when I came back. So that's really interesting work because it's seasonal. It's really hard, long
mm.
hours for a short time, and then you
Yeah,
got money, and then you can go traveling and doing things. For me, it's a perfect
yeah.
kind of little setup. Like I'm living off the savings from last year of doing that. I was hoping to buy a van so I can travel around Australia, but this whole back thing is set me back basically, and yeah, just trying to recover basically and to integrate. Because since I come back, I've been moving around and trying to find the place that fit in, and I've just been constantly just on the move. So now I've got this place where I can just put the brakes on for a month or two and to just focus on my artwork, live off my savings, and just be in nature and connect with the stars to get to because now I've got these beautiful stars. I can see the Milky Way and sit out, cook on the fire. I've got this beautiful location now that I can just put the brakes on
Hmm.
and then return back into society, because I really haven't integrated my journey, like
Hmm.
10 years of traveling
Hmm.
and then returning to society. I really am not a normal member of society. Trying to fit in is like I can't foresee myself ever going back to a position where I'm sitting in an office as an engineer. Like it's interesting. I could see myself doing that, but it doesn't fuel my fire. So yeah, it's finding what it is in this country which does fuel my fire, that isn't going to destroy my cancer stuff, and just not isolate myself from society. So that's what I kind of did for 10 years. I lived as a human being, and now I'm a name and number again that's trying to find a way that can be a human being. So like, yeah, like where I am now, I'm lucky. I've got my cousin has land, so I have this ability to be in one place and not move. But it's only a temporary thing, and then it's trying to find that place where I can put down some roots. I can settle for a bit.
Hmm.
So yeah,
I feel that.
focus on the inner, focus on the art, and focus on the heart.
Well, that's good. Well, I'll leave you to it then because I know you got to do your exercises and I'm ready to cook some dinner for myself. But
Yeah,
I really appreciate you taking the time out of your healing journey and your hermit life there in what was the name of the town? Where is that called?
esque,
Esk. Your healing
esque.
time in Esk. And yeah, thank you so much for being on this interview, and I wish you all the best for your surgery too.
Yeah, thanks, Dandy, and it's been good catching up, and yeah, look forward to catching up more.
Absolutely. We'll be in touch. And if you can get me those sound recordings, I would love it because I had a hard drive that failed on me. And so a lot of my recordings are gone until I scrape together the cache to do a rescue operation on that hard drive. So, but that's
Yeah, the
not
same
for
happened
now.
to me. I got a lot of photos that are kind of hopefully recoverable.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah.
One
But
day.
I'll send you those files.
All right, brother. Well, it's been great to talk to you.
Great to see you, Dandy.
All right, buddy. Ciao.
Bye bye. Ciao.